This segment is sponsored by the Richmond Sentinel, providing news, entertainment, and human interest stories in print and online.
Her father was the first Black Speaker of the House for BC. He was a well-known politician and a revered football player. In fact, there's a park dedicated to Emory Barnes in Yaletown. Joining us now is one of his very accomplished daughters, Beverli Barnes. In fact, I've known Beverli for over 30 years. Amazing. I've been wanting to have her on the show for a while. She is a designer, an athlete, as well as a writer. Welcome, Beverli.
Thank you for having me on the show. And it's great to see you again.
Oh, it's great to see you too. Way too long, but this is good. This is a good catalyst to get talking again. I've read some of your stories. I love, but we'll talk about that after. Let's dive into your design career because it's quite an interesting story.
Yeah, I've got a niche market now doing the lawyers' robes and judicial robes and regalia for universities, but I have wanted to be a fashion designer forever, since I was 5 years old. My mom made all of our clothes when we were kids, and I'm pretty sure that's where I got the bug. She was very creative, and I'm like a dog with a bone. It's what I wanted, and I went after it, and I got it. There's been some bumps along the road, but I've got a very successful business.
Yes, you do, and both parents weren't equally as supportive.
No, my mom was 1,000% behind me and helped me actually find Parsons in New York, and it was a very difficult school to get into. They accepted, I think it was 30 students a year into the fashion design program. My father was the opposite. He said 3 things to me that I'll never forget. He says, you've got 3 strikes against you. Number 1, they only accept the creme de la creme from around the world, like 30 students. You're Black and you're a woman. And that really stuck with me. And the thing, if someone says to me, you can't do something, watch out.
Yes, I've known you a long time, and you've done everything you've said you would do, much to a lot of people's surprise. Your design career has, as you said, very successful. You're currently, you had a great design company called Is It Legal, and now you're designing under your own name, which is great. You've also extended across Canada now. I love the Indigenous part of
the robe. So it started when Emily Carr University became a university. There were 4 in BC, and I approached them to ask who was designing the regalia, and they wanted somebody local, so they hired me, and I actually did their robes for 11 years. And then it just branched off, University of Alberta, or Mount Royal, Manitoba, SFU, like really prominent universities, and then incorporating Indigenous art onto all of the regalia, which is the way the country's going, has been phenomenal as a designer to work with all these different artists.
I love the story, and I'll tell our audience briefly, the reason you got into robes was because your best friend was a nurse, she became a judge, and
my friend Michelle, we've known each other since the 80s, and when she decided to switch careers and become a lawyer, she was called to the bar and got her robes, and she says, Beverli, these are horrible, they don't fit, they're basically like men's clothing. And so she says, you need to get into this business. And I didn't even know what this stuff looked like. So I started with shirts and then the waistcoats and the robes, and it took off. Mm-hmm. And in 1996, I was nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year by McCarthy Tetra, one of the largest law firms in the country, for innovation, design, and marketing. So
wonderful. Well, you found your niche, and you've kept it up to this very day. Also, your athleticism. You have been an athlete, but that's a good story if we can.
Yeah, so when I was my first year at Parsons, the stress was something I'd never experienced before. And I had ulcers in my first semester. I'd never felt so much pain in my life. And my doctor asked what I was doing for exercise. I says, well, I'm nothing. I didn't like to exercise. And he says, if you don't find some way to deal with the stress physically, you won't live to see 30. And it scared me to death. And so I started aerobics, and I haven't stopped.
Yeah. Now you're a runner and you've won, that's a whole other show.
Yeah.
We'll get you back on talking about your running career, which is so inspiring, really. But we're going to end on your memoir.
Oh.
I am thrilled that you're doing this. And I think you've warned us, you're going to do a tell-all from childhood to adulthood and everything in between.
Yeah, there's going to be some shocking things that people probably look at me and have no idea. Some incredible stories like my time at Studio 54 in New York and just how I got there and what I went through, and there's just so much. You can't make this stuff up. So it's going to be very entertaining, some dark stuff, but I'm really excited about writing it and getting it out there.
Yeah, we're all excited. So thank you, Beverli Barnes. Daughter of Emory Barnes, for some of you that would recognize that name for sure. Again, extremely accomplished in her own right, and we will have you back when your memoir is published.
Absolutely, Lita. Thank you.
Thanks.
This segment was sponsored by the Richmond Sentinel, providing news, entertainment, and human interest stories in print and online.